I greet you this morning, dear brothers and sisters and friends and family, human beings who may be watching across the planet this morning in the greeting words of peace, which we say in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum, which mean in English, peace be unto you. En español significa la paz sea con usted. Dear beloved brothers and sisters, 2 weeks ago, we all witnessed the murder of our brother George Floyd. We watched as his life was taken in such an unjust and terrible act of violence committed by those who are paid to uphold and are supposed to enforce law and order. It affected me personally in a very deep way, because when I saw the face of our brother George Floyd, I saw the face of my people in Mexico. Now, most people may say, I don't think of a black face when I see the face or think of the faces of people in Mexico. But that face is at the root of what is the Mexican people. When you see and look through books and archives the face of what is the original people of Mexico, referred to as the Olmec people, you cannot help but to see the similarities in that original face of the true and real Mexican people to the face of our brother whose life was taken. But most of us do not know, even as Mexicans, our true origin in the world, and have been made to hate ourselves and our people. But the truth of who we are is coming to light. It was buried and hidden, but we must know the truth today. We all watched in anger and frustration as our brother's life was taken with a knee on his neck, and we were enraged by the slow response of the judicial system and law enforcement, which we know all too well as black and brown people has never given us justice. So we went into the streets last weekend, and all across the country, black and brown brothers and sisters came together and in a unified voice cried out for justice. It was so powerful, so strong, and so unified as the cry, Black Lives Matter, came not just from black people, but from their Mexican and Latino family as well. It gave us so much hope, so much inspiration, and it was our young people in particular leading the way. It was such a beautiful movement and moment of unity that it inspired people as far away as the Middle East into Central and South America to stand up with a similar cry, seeking justice not only for George Floyd, but the injustice that death reminds us all of. But not everyone was pleased by those images of unity, for there are those who have benefited and maintained their dominance due to our division. Something happened. The narrative changed from a collective cry for justice that by Monday and Tuesday, that which started with strength and unity was changed into talk and rumors of a race war. There was a wedge placed between our two people who are really one in the sight of Allah God. And the pain and hurt and distrust boiled over, and we further injured one another. And who benefited? Who encouraged it? Who fostered it? And who capitalized from it? Black people were attacked in Chicago and in Cicero, Illinois, and other places across the country. Cicero, Illinois, of all places, where just a few years ago, mobs of Caucasian people would not allow us to even walk through that neighborhood. Yet here we were, Mexicans now, doing the same thing to our black brothers and sisters. Yet we never got so organized to target our white tormentors. And similar incidents were reported between people from the Dominican Republic and black people in New York City and other parts. It showed the racism that we know too well, but too few want to acknowledge exists within Latin American communities. This racism, this acceptance of white supremacy by the acceptance of a false Latin identity that draws its origin in the rape of the indigenous people and enslavement of the African people. So, of course, in response to such attacks, black people sounded an alarm, and because of social media and our disconnect from each other, there was the escalation of violence and retaliation for what had been done to black men and women in the name of protecting the community. But we had not called for such retaliation against Caucasian people with all their years and centuries of killing and tormenting of us. Why was it so easy for us to turn on each other? Why did we not think better of our brothers on both sides, who we know have suffered like ourselves, and who benefits from our disunity and fighting against each other? We have been made to see one another as enemies when we are natural allies and family to one another. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has taught us from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad of the history of how our division was started and continues to be fostered to this very day. Our enemy always inserts themselves in amongst us and begins making trouble by telling lies. They accuse us, causing us to fight and kill one another. So the Holy Quran warns us in the 49th chapter of the Holy Quran, "O you who believe, if an unrighteous man brings you news, look carefully into it, lest you harm a people in ignorance, then be sorry for what you did." This is a principle of divine guidance which we must implement immediately, because we live in an unrighteous world. We must look into and verify what is being said before acting on it or even spreading or sharing it. This is how the enemy takes advantage of us. They whisper into our pain and distrust and further divide brothers and sisters from one another. They constantly want us at odds. So when they saw us uniting, it is not by accident that natural unity within a day there was now talk of disunity. The Messiah, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan have taught us that our unity is more powerful than an atomic bomb. Our unity is the power to bring about all the peace, all the security, all the things we desire of good, but we can't unite as long as we permit an enemy to have our ear. So the Holy Quran tells us that surely they who concocted a lie are a party from among you. This is how Satan works. He slips in among us, pretending to be our friend, pretending to be one of the homies, one of the family, hiding on social media behind a righteous cause and reason for spreading rumors and lies. But in their heart and minds is something else. They never bring facts or evidence or witnesses, just empty words, misinformation, and false promises. They seize on our ignorance and distrust, which they create and constantly feed. They disrespect us all, yet we never organize against the enemy. The same enemy who raped our women, black and Mexican. The same enemy who stole what was ours, our land, our knowledge, our names, our culture, and our religion and language. The same enemy who hunted and lynched us, both black and Mexican. But today it is us hunting one another because the enemy has made us into themselves and put their mind in us, a mind of white supremacy, and made us see one another as enemies. We wear their names, Rodriguez, Johnson, Perez, Williams. They forced upon us their religion in all of its denominations with the false image of a white Jesus that made us genuflect to them as our masters. They stripped us of our languages and made us speak their languages. They tried to erase our history and gave us their version and miseducation. And now today we kill and die in the name of their lies. They wounded us on so many levels, and today we continue to wound ourselves and one another. We need healing, and we cannot begin to heal without the presence of the truth. Brothers and sisters, we must always seek out the truth first. So Jesus said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." As long as we accept their lies, we are enslaved to their agenda and controlled by their manipulations. They feed fear, increase tensions, and desire that we fight and kill one another so they can use us for a tool and also a slave. We are natural warriors, soldiers, and protectors of our people. They know they cannot defeat our united front, so instead they would prefer to have us quarreling, which divides and weakens us. And this is how they rule us all. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, "The liar must be removed so we can know the truth today." The enemy wants to keep us confused and bickering like children, asking them to settle our differences and looking to them to provide what we need, which in unity we could provide and should provide for ourselves. This is what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has taught us of and warned us against for years, that we must become brothers and recognize the hidden hand that fosters the tensions and feeds the disunity between us. In the Holy Quran, we are instructed that if two parties of the believers quarrel, make peace between them. Then if one of them does wrong to the other, fight that which does wrong till it return to Allah's command. Then if it returns, make peace between them with justice and act equitably. Surely Allah loves the equitable. The believers are brethren, so make peace between your brethren and keep your duty to Allah, that mercy may be had upon you. Our appeal to you, young Mexican, young black brother and sister, is to not fall further into the trap of our open enemy. He sees his world coming down, and the only thing that can slow our rise is ourselves. And the enemy wishes to take you and I with them to their well-earned doom and destruction. We have both been injured enough, and there is no reason for us to further injure one another to the enemy's joy and benefit. I appeal to you as a disciple of the Messiah, as a servant and student of the King of Kings. Let us set aside all of our differences, for it is our time. It is the time of our rise and our unity. Allah, God Himself, has come to raise and unite the black, the brown, and the red, to be against the unity which God, Allah Himself, is at the head of, is to be against Allah, God Himself, in this time. We will be the losers if we oppose the will of God. Dear brothers and sisters, the world of white supremacy is unraveling. America is falling, and we are in danger of unraveling with it if we continue to fall for the tricks and lies of our enemy. Let us no more be tools and slaves of our enemy. Let us be soldiers and servants for our Lord. There is a better way. There is a way out. There is a way of salvation and redemption, but we must choose. Will we humble ourselves and follow and accept the direction of God, or will we turn from our wicked ways that we learned from our enemy? Will we accept God's guidance? It is our time, and our fate is in our hands. Do you want peace, love, freedom, justice, and equality? God is present and offering it all to us. He is offering us a better way from Himself through His Christ, through His Messiah, and it will save our lives if we will listen and accept it.